why were you sent here? You have a gift. What is that gift? And get out there and fucking do it. Because that's how we're going to save the world. It's an International Women's Day event. So this is International Women's Week. The theme for this year internationally is be bold to change the world. Mm-hmm. What I find with women, and certainly in my own life, we sort of have this whisper of a voice of like, this is who I am, the who I am voice. And then we have the what I am voice. And the what I am voice is a lot louder most of the time. So it's like what defines us and our day is centered around things like, what am I going to feed the kids? And is this healthy? Is this not healthy? And do I look fat in these Lululemon pants? And I need to go to the gym and I'm too heavy and I'm too this and I'm not enough that. If I ask a woman in my practice how much of her day she spends thinking about that kind of stuff, it's 70-80% of her day. Like how the are we supposed to go and change the world when we're spending most of our time trying to figure out how to drop 10 dress sizes or struggle with feeding our picky kids and our picky husbands for dinner? Like that's the reality of most of our existence, right? Like, and it's depressing. Changing what's on your plate can be the foundation for transformation in the rest of your life, because you can use it as a place to practice all of these things that we know from studies of personal development and positive psychology they're proven to work, right? But you have to do the work. You have to change the habit. You have to rewire the brain. So there's the health of the body. I mean, there's just no doubt in the literature or in any mind of anyone who's doing nutrition work on the ground in healthcare that it's the foundation. It's not everything, but it is the foundation. If you are not doing that part, it doesn't matter what else you do, you're never going to be fully well physically or mentally. And the truth is that it's because there's so much misinformation and confusion out there. People are trying all these different diets and stuff. But the truth, like human beings for our entire evolutionary existence, whether you believe it's 4,000 years or 400,000 years, the bulk of our calories have always come from food that was gathered by women and children. It has come from seeds, nuts, roots, fruits, vegetables, whole food that were plants. And then occasional calories came from the meat that the men hunted. Most of our calories didn't come from that. Like if you're out a caveman hunting, I love this paleo diet, right, where they don't have any grains or dairy because we didn't farm. Well, we didn't eat meat 3 times a day either, I'll tell you that. Like, geez, like. So I always say, okay, well, you're going to eat every day, and we know that eating is the foundation to your health, so you're going to try and eat better with some guidance, fine. Then what are you going to, so spend the time when you're eating, even if it's just once a day, but ideally, I mean, can you imagine using that 3 times a day, spending 10 to 15 minutes mindfully eating, paying attention to what you're putting in your body?
That's so hard for people.
It is, but it changes your digestion. It changes the way that you feel about food in your body, but it actually is proven to rewire the brain for a more positive perception. And that is actually key to positive psychology and habit formation. And the other one that I talk about is gratitude. So I really highly encourage people to reinstitute a grace type practice. I don't really care if it's about the food. People can't always like feel gratitude for the food or whatever, but 2 seconds before you eat, using food as that anchor, call to mind something that brings forth an emotion of gratitude. If you do that 3 times a day, within 20 days, you will rewire your brain for a more positive outlook. Like it's been proven, it increases productivity in men and women. They did a huge study on Wall Street. In 21 days, just writing down, they didn't even call forth the emotion, which actually has more benefits. Just writing down three things every day they were grateful for in the morning increased their productivity by like a measurable amount. So So you can use food as anchors to practice those two things, which are the key to changing your perception and having a strong mental fortitude. And then the third part, in terms of the spiritual aspect, I think people need to recognize the tremendous economic, social, and environmental impact of what they choose to put on their plates. In terms of the environment, I mean, the WHO has put together all of the studies, and we know that 14% of all greenhouse gas emissions come from livestock. That's roughly the same amount as every car, train, boat, plane, like every single bit of transportation. Now, if you factor in that as, a certain percentage, a large percentage of the transportation is actually to transport food, then the impact of our food choices on the environment just from greenhouse gas emissions, there's been estimates that it's between 30 and 50%, right? So that's huge. And almost all of that comes from industrial animal livestock agriculture. And so decreasing the amount of animal products that you eat has a significant impact on the types of foods that are grown. Like 75% of the arable land in the United States is grown to feed cattle. 80 billion animals that we slaughter every year for food on the planet, roughly. If you took half the cows on the planet, they disappear, and then you took the land that we grow to feed those cows, and then the land that those cows are taking, if you took that land and you grew vegetables, you could feed 4.5 billion people every year. If you took all the cows off, we'd easily, just with that land, not including the land that we're already growing vegetables on, you could feed 9 billion people a year. We don't have an abundance issue in the universe, we have a distribution issue. We feed cows in rich societies rather than feeding people. We lose 350 children every hour to food and healthcare related issues for lack of food and lack of healthcare, access to healthcare. 350 kids a fucking hour.
That's insane.
That's insane. So, changing what's on your plate, if enough people do it, it will have a tremendous economic impact. And I'm not saying you can never eat meat, but pay attention to where it comes from. The truth is that people don't want to think about it. Our choices come from our beliefs, right? And we have a belief system in our culture that says that the life of a cow is not worth the same amount as the life of a dog. And the life of a dog is not worth the same amount as the life of a person. Whether you choose to eat meat or not is your choice. I made that choice for myself and I feel very good about it, but that's my choice. Someone else might feel better about eating meat that comes from a grass-fed happy cow, and that's your choice too. Now there's an environmental impact to that still, but whatever. I mean, it has to be something that you yourself feel comfortable with. So the first thing I say is, whether you like it or not, men, women, whatever, if you're a human being in this culture, you need to find 4 hours a week to dedicate to food preparation and consumption. There are 168 hours in a week, find 4. If you don't do that, you are never going to get ahead. You have to wrap your mind around the fact that this is a foundation of your healthcare. It is more important than anything else that you can do in a day. And 4 hours a week of preparation and consumption is mandatory. It's a perception thing, right? I don't have time for that. Well, you actually do. It's not that much more than going through the drive down, scarfing it down. You just have to prepare for it. So the first thing is preparation. Have things that you can grab. Have things with you all the time that you can eat so that you don't have to eat out. First of all, it'll save you a ton of money. And second of all, it actually significantly reduces stress levels because you know where your next meal is coming from, right? They couldn't yet wrap their head around the idea of not eating out. And they had all this shame around food. So they would go to Wendy's and they would get a hamburger and fries, and then they would hide it and eat it in their car where no one could see them. And I was like, okay. Or while they're driving, right? I'm like, look, give yourself the extra 10 minutes. Go into the Wendy's. Sit down. Get the baked potato and the chili, or the salad and the chili, instead of the freaking hamburger, and eat it in public. There are healthy choices at every restaurant, so you just don't want them. So a lot of people say, oh, life's too short, I want to enjoy my food. I'm like, what's your goal? Is your goal to don't tell me that you would rather, because what you're telling me is that what you would rather do is live a short life where you're fat and tired because you love the kind of food that you're eating.